it like a girl. It should not be an insult. That is one of the biggest stereotype when it comes to like women in golf, that we are not competitive and we are slower and we don't have the grit it takes. It's not glamorous to stand in the sun for 5 hours and practice.
Everybody like fighting, like come sponsor us, fighting like come be a part of women's sports, come invest in women's sports, come and watch women's sports or like support us.
Men's price purse was 10 times. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Her Side, a female led podcast where we bring to you stories about women in sports that are raw, unfiltered, and right from the heart. I'm Aditi, and my co host Talva here. We have on set with us Ria Cha. She is a professional golfer who has refused to step off the fairway even when the going gets tough. And she has been a professional golfer since 2020. Ria has carved her place on the Women's Golf Association of India in a quiet consistency and undeniable grit. She's had multiple top tens and top fives and runner-up finishes in like 5 this season. And despite her injury, she has been one of the most resilient athletes on the tour. She's finished top 15 in the Women Golf Association of India Order of Merit for 2 straight years and has represented India at the Hero Women's Indian Open both in 2023 and 2024. And this intro is, it's massive, many accomplishments there. But we want to hear from you, Ria. Welcome to Her Side.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
So Ria, take us back to like when golf became such a big part of your life and like how and when it all started for you.
So it's actually a really funny story. No one in my family plays golf. So it all started in school through a summer camp, actually. I remember getting all these pamphlets with like different summer camps, and the only one I ended up having that I each took was a golf pamphlet. And as soon as my mom saw it, she was intrigued because I was a very aesthetic child anyways. And she took me for the child classes, and I ended up picking up a club there.
Wow, that's amazing to hear.
So when you think about golf, like what is the first memory that comes to your mind?
I think the first memory has to be that right outside of Taco, we couldn't even hit like real ball pots, even like the plastic ones. So I remember just being able to fly one, and since then it's been like that, like the excitement I had as a 7-year-old. I think I was in first grade or something. The excitement I had just to see a bird flying like that and stay.
How
It
old
was
were you there?
7. Wow. First, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like that first sense of like accomplishment or like
Yeah.
fulfillment that really like sticks with you when you
Yeah.
Your school, it was in Delhi.
It was in Gurgaon. I went to Shalin's in Kashmir.
Nice. So, I mean, apart from that, like, when was the first golf competition that you enrolled in? Like, how did that come into the picture?
So I remember it was a monthly medal round. So a lot of these clubs that you're like members at, they have like a monthly medal round for all the golfers, all the members. And I remember I was the only girl playing at that in my junior category, and I had to like compete against the boys, and that was fun. But also like kind of felt bad not to win because I was competing with guys that were like twice my size or with the same tees.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I remember I think I finished like fourth in that out of like whatever 10, 12 kids.
Wow.
And yeah, since that happened, I was like, yeah, I am a competitive person. I want to beat all these guys. So
Yeah.
every month I would practice even harder for that 1 month 3 medal round so I could beat the boys.
So how did your coaching come around? Like, were you in school or did you join a club? How does it work in both?
So it started with the summer camp. I think it lasted like a month, and one of the local coaches back, one of the smaller of the ranges there, the Hifaris wanted me. He went up to my warriors, like if she wants to come with you on there, she has that method, we should be continue, and then yeah, that's how like I started coaching initially. I stayed with that coach for a very long time. In between, I was in Chandigarh League with another coach over there at the academy. Then once I was back in Gurgaon, I felt a little lost when it came to the coaching part of it. Because obviously there are not a lot of like coaches, like good coaches. So that's when my mom enrolled me into a full-time academy in Bangalore. So I spent an entire year over there on the golf club. Like I literally lived on the golf club. I was like eating, sleeping, breathing golf. And yeah, that was exciting. I think that really led me to where I am today.
Okay.
Like,
And how old were you at this time?
I left school after ninth grade and I did OT schooling because I wanted to go and be at the Abbey full time and schooling, but normally wouldn't have been the option for me. I was 16 when I enrolled in the academy after spending a year there. Really, truly, I feel like that was the point where I found my passion for golf. And that's when I decided to turn pro because I had two options. I either go to college abroad with a scholarship and stuff, or I pick freshman off and I kind knew that this is something that I want to do.
Wow.
Yeah, so I remember you mentioning earlier that you would compete against boys, and usually when you like look at golf or like when you talk about golf, the first thing comes to your mind is that it's a gentleman's sport. And so I think like it would be like nice to understand, and like also I feel like the audience would love to hear it as well. Like being a young girl at the age of 7, like what made you choose golf, and like what made you realize that okay, like this is the moment that I want to like pursue it. Being a
At that time, I didn't really think of it that way. And then, like, one day, I think one of my cousins was like, oh, you're playing an old man sport. And that's when I was like, is it an old man sport?
No.
Not really. I mean, there are old people that play, that doesn't make it an old man sport. And I think when I was younger, I didn't really think about all these norms that the society have regarding my sport. So I just kept on playing and then I just shut all the voices out and I just kept on.
I think there was this one stat that I read just recently. I think was it the LGPA or was it? And there was some event in Pune. It was a mixed event. IGPA, yeah. So it was men's and women's both mixed, and I think is it Pranati Ors who finished first?
Yeah, that was in Mumbai. She won the IGTN in Mumbai, which was a mixed event.
Yeah, and it was crazy to see how the women topped the chart, and the second person who finished the course was her partner itself, I think. But it was, it felt really nice because I saw her perform at the Hero Championship, and I think she won that one as well. She finished in the top, yeah, or she finished in the top, but in any case, but I've seen that stat, women topping the leaderboard when the field is mixed. It's just remarkable to see, and it's not a men's sport there.
It is. I mean, she clearly proved them wrong. It was a field of, I think, 54 players in total in the IGPL that happened in Mumbai. And I think women only had like 10 students.
Oh.
And then out of them. So,
Yeah.
there were about 44 guys, 10 women, and a woman.
Oh, wow.
So that's a pretty good start.
That is amazing.
And that actually brings us to like the next question. Like, what has it felt like being a woman playing golf on and off the court? And like, what has that journey been like for you?
I feel like it's empowering to know that you're doing something not a lot of women do.
Right.
But then also like the reality does start crashing down when you think about like how little exposure women's sport actually has. So that's that's what it feels when you go back home. When you're on the golf course, you're empowered. You're like, yeah, let's go, guys, try this. And then as soon as you're back, you're thinking about the reality of it.
So I was at the first peak I had done in the Geo Women's Golf Cup, and then I attended the DP, the Ben's one.
Yeah.
And the prize purse is 10 times. The men's prize purse was 10 times. So if a man won, the first place, 10 crores, for example, the one won like 1 crore in comparison to that. And both are like, I mean, of course, DP has like crazy, like athletes. It's probably more renowned, but both are international level competitions.
They're both European notes.
Yeah.
So it's the ladies. So the Hero World is Indian outfit that's by the ladies' European tour. DP World Tour is basically the men's European tour.
Yeah. But the prize purse, I did the math there, sitting there when the award was being given with my friend Millie. We were just, doing the math on it. And it just blew my mind to see like, and I think like growing up, all of us have done that.
Yeah.
Like when we like watch men's sport, we watch like women's sport as well.
Yeah.
And we're just like always comparing. Like there's always just like such a big difference in like the pay parity and like the whether it's the salaries or like the winning amount or whatever that is. So like
And the funniest stat is that this year Veronica Boone, who finished #1 on the Hero Women's Professional World Tour, the WGI Choir of Merit winner, made 21.1 lakhs. You make more than that in a week if you win on the men's tour.
Oh wow.
More than that.
That is so crazy to hear. Yeah, I mean, so when I was at these two events, I found the women's tour to be as competitive as the men's, but the audience and the viewership on the men's side was ridiculous. Like, there was crowds cheering for the athletes, and when they were preparing to hit the shot, everyone went silent, and then after that there was like a lot of cheer and people just running after the athletes. But on the women's side, it was just so scattered, and towards the end there was like a little crowd, but I didn't see any other
I feel
viewers.
like you must have seen more crowd this time at Lady Open because the fact that the woman was leading, but an Indian woman was leading.
I'm talking
That's
about
the only time people actually decide to show up, when they have to congratulate and not when they have to support the Indian players.
yeah,
That's the reality of what it is in India.
yeah, that's true.
If you were tuned in when Aditi almost won already.
Yeah.
So
Was it Hitachi Bakshi or
yes, she was leading the event.
Yeah,
And that's why a lot more people showed up, but still it was nothing compared to the PT.
yeah. So can you just like walk us through like what the reality of golf is, like opportunities क्या क्या हैं for like when it gets to be a golf for like जो लोग like the girls who want to choose golf as like their sport, like you just walk us through like the reality, the opportunities that exist in India.
So the problem on the Indian tour is that ये sport financially अभी तक sustainable नहीं है for Indian world because of the money. Like money, #1 Indian golfer who made 21 lakhs. Now golf को अगर देखा जाए, if you see the travel, you see the coaching, you add it all up.
Yeah.
She probably didn't even make profit unless like obviously sponsors, and there are barely any sponsors, and even with the IGBL coming in now and giving women spots, it's still women get like 6 to 10 spots on that tour. So it's not, and it's an invitation only this thing. And I feel like there are opportunities, aisa nahi hai. Obviously, like you get on a high level and there are opportunities, but yeah, if you talk about equal opportunities, so that is something that I feel you work greatly towards, and something that I would personally want to change, because I have a caddy who travels with me everywhere. He has a daughter and a son, and I asked him this question as soon as like his daughter's elder. I asked him, would you make her daughter play golf? He was saying, nahin, nahi khilunga. And when I asked her, say, his son was just born like a few months back. I said, और फिर अर्जुन इसको golf खिलाएगा? हाँ, क्यों नहीं? You'll see a lot more people from like different backgrounds when it comes to men's tour. That is because it is sustainable. वो उनको सिर्फ पैसा burn नहीं करना है initially. So that is where things can change. And I feel like I want to, make it something that is more sustainable so that people of different backgrounds, that golf is not just a niche or a rich man's sport for like the rest of the time, like rest of the time.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
It is the reality in India.
Yeah.
Once you're out, obviously you're making a lot more, but वहाँ तक पहुँचने के लिए also you need funds, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about the system of golf. How does that work? Are these events government sponsored or is it like private sponsorship? How do these events happen? And how many events are there on in a year for Indian athletes and even international, like where Indians can compete? So what is the pathway to the top is my question.
So the WGR is an NGO. It is not the government NGO. You get funds from the government. So, and you play on the WGI, and through that you can also go up to like different tours. I think if you finish top two, all the co-sanctioned tours, WGI is co-sanctioned with other tours that are there in Asia, and you can get spots in them through WGI. And there are again multiple tours like the Thai LPGA, which is the Thailand's women's tour. There is the Korean women's tour where you can one you get play. Through that you can get world ranking. WGS still doesn't have good ranking plans because of the numbers. There are very few girls playing. And you can and WGS has 50 tournaments like yours in a year that are spread out throughout the year. Our season starts in Jan, ends in November. In between, we have the Indian Open, and if you want to qualify for the Indian Open, you have to finish in the top 15 of the WJ Outdoor of Meher. Be in the it's right before the season ends, so up until then, you have to be at the top of the merit, and through that, you get the LED. So, if you want to play outside, it's not as simple as just going and, if you're a pro yoga, you could just go and play there. They all have qualifying qualified convents, which we call Fuse School, and ETPO and part everyone is off like it's so big per month. You go and participate in that. If you qualify, you pay the card, you get paid throughout the year. It's a bit complicated.
Yeah, sounds very complicated. Both of us come from different sporting backgrounds. Like her system works very different. My system works really different. But golf is, I feel, not the usual the way it works with the Asmika, the Khelo Indias. There's no such cultural influence in it like that. So, and I totally come from like a team sport. Like I think individual sport I only competed was like back in school. So like I come from like a team sport, and like the entire ecosystem is just like so different. And you're just like dependent on everybody else so much, rather than like just your own talent and like what you bring to the field or like what you can do as an individual. So yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. And I'm sure like all the listeners and all the young girls could help them understand golf as a sport in general as well. And I think one thing also that that we want to understand as well, and I think it's a very important part of like every female athlete and our personal lives as well, like the struggles that come with opting sport as a woman, that that you want to pursue it and not be professional in the sport. And like if you could just like tell us like what your struggles have been, and like how do you like come out through those struggles, because it's not easy like being a woman athlete. People question you left, right, center with your choices, what you want to do and why you want to do it.
Why don't you want to settle?
Yeah, or like just पढ़ाई पे
practical.
focus करो, हाँ पढ़ाई पे focus करो, life बनाओ, job लेनी है, अभी settle होना है, चोट नहीं लगनी चाहिए. I've grown up listening to things like अगर चोट लगी तो पैर टूट गया तो, because it's a very physical sport. Yeah. So yeah, if you could just like walk us through that as well, like what it's like your journey in like.
With Alkesi, I've had a really supportive family. Family rather, it's just me and my mom. So she has been very, like women empowerment, even though she has like 4 degrees. She never like pushed. She never like pushed me to go study or like be practical. Move on with this. Yeah. She always she had a dream. I had a dream. She always believed in it. So in those terms, yes, there's no struggle. The struggle comes in when people ask you, "Acha, you play professional balls? और क्या करते हो?" Oh. That's the worst. Is it? That's the worst feeling. और क्या करते हो? And I'm just like, और कुछ नहीं. Acha, is it sustainable to do that?
Yeah.
So I think though that is a real struggle because then after a point, like after so many people say that, you also start to question yourself. And you have that doubt, you have that pressure to like prove people wrong. I'm gonna be the one who proves. That's also again pressure. Then there's the burnout to like manage everything because you're managing your traveling, you're managing your schedules, everything and anything. You're managing the logistics when you go for a tournament and what to eat, and if you're meeting your protein intake or not, it gets really complicated.
Yeah.
Just that athlete, and then as on top of that, you're a woman athlete where people are constantly like, "Itni medals kyun hi kar rahe ho?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So that really like it gets to you because you're putting in just as much effort, you're putting in just as much hard work, but you're not being appreciated. Like 1/10 of the appreciation that a man would probably get for doing the same,
Yeah.
or maybe even less.
But as we saw in the women's cricket as well, because you're the World Cup, and the women have not been paid as much, but they won the cup regardless of that. Even they put in the work silently. And the sad part, I think, is when it's treated like a hobby. Although for like sports like golf and cricket, it's still possible to make a career. For my personal sport like weightlifting, it's really difficult to make a career out of it because I just want a competition. I want $8,000. I don't know when that money will come in my account. Probably 1 year from now. So that's not even accounting for inflation for that matter. But whatever it is, can't make a living out of weightlifting. But for something like golf, can certainly do that. But for society to treat it like a hobby, it's very demotivating. I feel like they treat it especially like a hobby on a tourist place.
Yeah.
They wouldn't treat it that much like a hobby for that was great. Yeah. Again, it comes down to the money of it all.
Yeah.
They do make more money, so there's even more importance than a woman would be. Yeah. Which is
And the other part to this is that in India, like academics is considered better or superior than athletics or sports for that matter. But it's not the case because we had a discussion about Man the other day, and sports gives you a certain different level of mental strength as well. It makes you a better student, which both of us have been. So
it makes you quick on your feet. For sure, you are thinking quicker. And like you said, even my mom says this that of India, like a lot of people, parents especially, treat others, if you're having a plate of Indian food, so roti sabzi is padhai and side mein jo thoda sa achar, that is sports. Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is how it's treated. Like, yeah, theek hai. It is there, but the main thing is here.
But masa to achar nahi aata.
Exactly.
So I think yesterday only I was talking to somebody and I met them, and I met them after like a very long time meeting, which is like, kya kar rahe ho? Football abhi chal raha hai. And it's been 20 years since I've been playing. 20 साल से I've been playing, and उसके बाद भी लोग अभी मेरे से पूछते हैं और फुटबॉल अभी भी चल रहा है. Like I've been playing for the country for like the last 15 years, and people still coming and asking, and then they ask that, and then okay, yeah, you still answer, and then after that they just like, oh yeah, or like क्या चल रहा है, कहाँ काम कर रहे हो? But exactly, yeah, and
like we're professional, so we're doing this as a profession. That's what professional means.
Yeah, and I feel like that education, that kind of awareness also like kind of lacks in general when it comes to like when we talk to people as women, like we're athletes. I always make sure that I introduce myself as a professional footballer first.
and later on, like whatever follows, because I want to make sure that at least like, you know, people who are following and like same goes for Paris, but like she introduces herself as like a professional athlete, professional weightlifter, and like you know, even when you do that, it does come with a lot of mental struggles, like we mentioned. And you said that you just like love to keep the noise out. So like, how do you do that? Like, how do you keep the noise just like out? Then you just don't let
I
anybody
think
get
you stick to your purpose at the end of the day. Why you don't have to fight with people, you don't have to argue. You just as the counter to the tough thing. You just like whatever sport you're playing, like your game is the top can win the day, right? They'll all appreciate you once you've done something, and that's when you can actually voice out what you guys are doing. Yeah. And now you are voicing it out as even to ourselves actually. So yeah, I think we need to get to that like a point in our life where we can actually, even though there are people in the past in our sports who have been the voice, and I think that's something that should never stop. You should never reach to a point when you reach the achievement that you want and you've gotten the sort of audience that you can capitalize on it, then spread awareness.
Yeah.
It all starts from education, like the grassroots education. Not even like educating someone, okay, sports class chalo, PT class chalo, nothing like that, but spreading awareness about, okay, like sports be here, that's where it begins. And then, I think as you climb the ladder up, you just have to keep the noises out and let your work do the talking. I think
I was sharing an example with you because nobody would ask about women's football. Nobody knew there was a women's football team like that. And we were struggling in like the first time from Columbia qualified round one. It happened in 2018 November. We qualified for round two, which was supposed to happen in 2019. So we had like a 4 month long gap and still people didn't know it. Women's team hai, nahi hai, football isi compete ka. And then 2019, I remember like we went for SAF championship, say the South Asian World Championship. And all the people would question, and I've been fortunate enough to like have my family who support me. My father is been my coach, but everybody would just like go and question my father. And like like क्यों खिला रहा है लड़की को और like क्या फायदा है स्पोर्ट्स खिलाने में आगे क्या रखा है कुछ नहीं रखा पर like about 2019 I scored a goal from a free kick and that goal just went viral. And after that, the funny part is, I went on Twitter पे देखा, people are retweeting that tweet and saying, अरे ये तो हमारा अच्छा है. अरे ये तो हमारा अच्छा है. So, like you just said, like you let the clubs do the talking, you let the feet do your talking, you just like prove yourself that why you're doing and what you're doing. And I think that should be like
you stick to you should stay connected to your workplace. You should not lose sight of where you want to be and what you want to achieve, and everything else will follow.
True. And I feel like it takes only one person to like make that step and like, just like have the courage to like do it and like follow that journey. Follow like the others to see you and get that motivation and inspiration to just like follow along that path. And it's it's just like that courage and like, and that is what like we want to do. Like we want to bring out like the stories where like women have not thought about the society, the stereotypes, the world, and just like taking a step forward, irrespective of what comes with them. And they are just like, how that has like stood out and like, a lot of young girls can actually pick at it going forward.
That's the evolution of women in sports, like from women in general. Yeah, women in general to begin with, and then for them to even come and be a part of sports, like as in running, Billie Jean winning the Battle of the Sexes. I think it was back in 1980s, if I'm not wrong, but she defeated world number one male tennis player, and she was, I think, world number one women's tennis player. And he said she would never defeat him. She went on and defeated him, and that just paved the way for women's tennis to what it is today. And I think that's how it is. Like you have to just keep working in silence, and लोग तो कहते रहेंगे. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. You have to achieve what you are set out to achieve. What your purpose in life is. Have to work on this. Anyway, that was very interesting. Tell me one stereotype or an assumption that comes along with being a women golfer. That we've ranked glamour in the sport is the biggest one.
Explain that.
I don't know. I feel like okay, we wear skirts, right? And we look a certain way. We
Yeah.
present ourselves also. We look cute.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say we do not break the camel. We do break the camel.
Yeah.
But I think people often take it as us being less competitive or like slower.
Or like, like we can't hit it as hard. We're just there. We're just like,
Just because you look
yeah,
cute.
just because we look cute.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest stereotype when it comes to like women in golf, that
Yeah.
we are not competitive and we are slower and we don't have the grit it takes, but it takes just as much out of us. It's not glamorous to stand in the sun for 5 hours and
Yeah.
practice.
Hmm.
There's nothing about it that is glamorous. Yeah, we do look good, but that's just an added point to it,
Yeah.
right? If I think everyone wants to look good when they're doing what they love. I think I remember this one newspaper that reached out to me for like an article bite where they were discussing about oh, like, do you think that women in sports should wear makeup while playing? And
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
exactly, like that's exactly what I said, that it doesn't matter. Whatever makes someone feel more empowered is what they should do. If wearing, like, putting on mascara and going out playing makes you feel more confident about yourself, do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't put us in a box where everyone's like, oh, they just go to the golf club to look good and like to look pretty and to be that sort of way. Yeah, that's the biggest stereotype.
That's kind of
Mm.
sad to be
It
honest.
is.
Yeah.
Because if you see internationally, there's so many female athletes who wear makeup and are being sponsored by makeup brands.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like L'Oreal sponsoring Ilona Maher. She's a rugby player from America. He has this iconic red lipstick that she wears, and it is iconic for a reason and makes her look so good, feels so good. And like,
Yeah.
the way she speaks about it on her Instagram, that she feels so empowered by that,
Mm.
and it makes her do what she does on a daily. Like, it's crazy. And so I don't know why that is the case in golf or in the Indian golf
Yeah.
spectrum.
I don't think wearing a skirt makes me any less competitive than someone
I
else.
think being a woman, whatever you do, you're going to be questioned.
Yeah.
If you have too much muscle, they're like, oh, like you look like a man. Like, why does she have so much muscle? Or like, if
Yeah.
you are like slim and everything, people say like you're weak or like you're not strong enough. So I feel like no matter what you do, you'd
Yeah.
always just like going to be questioned. And it's just like every time you step out onto the court or like the field, you just have to keep proving yourself. And I think like that is the reality we live in. But hopefully, like, that changes wherein everybody is able to support every girl that wants to take up sport in general. It could be any sport for that matter of fact. And like, that kind of narrative around the sport changes for like a woman. Like, you don't have to look a certain way or like be a certain type to play a particular sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from that, like, coming to think of it, throughout history, women's sports clothing has always been to sort of like, sexualize them in a way.
Yeah.
Like talking about gymnastics,
Uh-huh.
because, they've had, I think there's been like some major like debates and arguments about that topic, and in volleyball for that matter. Like, and I mean, to hear of it in golf also, that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It
Because
is there. It's very much there because I think there are a lot of girls who also like play like club golf and stuff, and then you'll find these like Instagram baddies and golf clothes where they're wearing the shortest skirt. And I think I think in any sport, I think they just like to sexualize women. It doesn't matter if you're fully covered or you're wearing a skirt. It's just
yeah.
how a man thinks at times.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, as we were talking about, you know, let your sport do the talking, with
Yeah.
your work do the talking. I think that's more important in that sense. And I hope that stereotype is broken down
Yeah.
by that. And I, through your Instagram, as we have seen, I was in awe of your work. So, and not once did I think, oh, she looks cute or she's, less competitive.
Yeah.
But it just, your form, the way you were shooting the shot, that was, more appealing or made me in awe of your work. So thanks for
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah, so is there like a moment that you think like because you chose golf or like sport in general, being a woman, that you were underestimated by people? And like if you were, like how do you respond to it and like just come out of it?
It comes down to again thinking that we're less competitive, we can't hit it as hard.
Mhm.
And it used to really like trigger me and make me feel bad when I was younger. But I remember this one time with one of my old golf coaches. I was, I think, hitting my driver. Driver's the biggest club in your bag. So I was hitting the driver, and he made like a few people stand behind me. And he went, "Oh, you'd think hitting it like a girl is an insult till you see this girl hit."
Oh wow.
And that's when I started to take that as a motivation rather than
Mhm.
something, that makes me feel bad or doubt myself.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
like, I want to be that wolf that people talk about when they're like, you hit it like a girl.
Mm.
It should not be an insult, but it should be something that is like,
100%. There's this
Yeah.
whole Nike campaign around that. It says
Yeah.
"Run like a girl."
yeah.
It's like, what does running like a girl mean to you?
Yeah.
Or like,
I don't think it's Nike. I think it
the
was some photographer or videographer who did this campaign.
yeah,
So I want to give credit to,
yeah,
But yeah, it was like young girls who were standing there and they were just, what does running like a girl mean to you? And then they just start running as fast as they can on the
yeah,
spot. And it's- it was a lovely campaign.
yeah.
I was
Lovely
like,
to hear that as well.
yeah.
Um, Move on to the next one, which is what is one thing, so not your family, but what is one thing that you wish other Indian families understood in order to like, from make them play their children or daughters sport golf especially. What do you wish they understood?
Like you said, it should be stop being seen as a hobby
Mm.
and as something that can be a real career. And I think women, especially, we need that space to take risks, make sacrifices, and not be on like someone's timeline of how things should be. And I feel like Indian families should give their children that space to, especially girls, right? And just motivate them as much as they would motivate a guy.
Mm.
For sure, for sure. And to be taken seriously. I think I want to be taken seriously
Yeah,
when it
Yeah.
comes to my sport.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
these
think.
didn't come easy.
Oh no.
I'm sure.
Yeah, like just like
Blood,
getting.
sweat, and tears. You know.
Yeah, I
Literally,
think.
quite
Oh,
literally.
though I remember like when we were shooting this, like the first episode of the podcast, we were just like looking at each other and we had the biggest smiles on our face, and there were just like a bit of tears in our eyes because we were just like so overwhelmed because we've been women in sport who've been competing and fighting against literally everybody, like fighting like come sponsor us, fighting like come be a part of women's sports, come invest in women's sports, come and watch women's sports or like support us, and like just like for all of this to like just come together and like for both of us to be able to get you and get the other athletes on board and talk about their stories. I feel like listening to your story also, like we feel very empowered and like we're not the only ones. And there's just like such a big circle of like women athletes who've been like underestimated and taken for granted, like
Yeah.
for as long as we can remember. And so like it's like it's very inspiring and it's very motivating to know like what your journey has been like. And I'm sure like all of us can take something back today with us as well. And I think talking, we were like going back to the point that we were talking about before, that usually you're taken lightly and you're told like plan your future differently, like you mentioned that you don't have to be on anybody's timeline. But I feel like in India वो pressure usually आता है, like family से आता है या relatives से आता है या friends से आता है कि फ्यूचर का क्या प्लान है, लाइक ठीक है तुम अभी स्पोर्ट्स खेल रहे हो बट फ्यूचर का क्या प्लान है, लाइक यू शुड प्लान योर फ्यूचर डिफरेंटली, like or like based on a timeline. So uh like has that ever happened to you, or like have you like ever faced that, or like just because like you're a woman and you chose to be in the sport?
Yeah, it is. It is. I think a lot. Eventually, it becomes a lot more internal when you see, like, if
Mm-hmm.
especially if you have a family that supports you, it does become internal at some point where you're like, yeah, maybe I should settle down, and maybe I should be a little more practical with my approach to things. Is this realistic? Should I just enroll myself in a coaching this thing, or something or the other? But that's again where you have to really sit down and think about why you started,
Yeah.
and think about the goals that you have, not just in what you want to achieve, but in terms of also what you want to give back to your sport that has molded you in such a way your entire life, right?
Yeah.
I
And
want to ask you though,
yeah.
future ka kya plan hai? Apart from all of this, what society says and all,
Yeah.
what's the future looking like for you?
I
Have you
definitely
given it thoughts?
I will continue playing golf
Yeah.
until I can, as long as I can, until I can walk, until I can, swing a club. I will keep playing golf. Eventually, I want to play on the highest level. And that's the goal. Go and play in the Olympics, win in the Olympics, so that more people know about my sport, and the little girls do pick up the club. That's the problem. That's why there are not a lot of women golfers in India. Because again, about the financial sustainability, agar hoti to aate. I'm pretty sure that there will be a lot more girls. And that is my purpose, where I always go back, which is what I always go back to and I connect to. And also the little 7-year-old Riya who was singing the club what she wanted.
Yeah.
That was actually our next question.
Yeah.
What would have been the message for your younger self?
Keep at it. Just be patient, keep swinging. It'll all be worth it one day.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that even my older self would be saying the same to me right now. You just have to be patient.
Yeah.
So nice to hear that you found your purpose early on with golf, even if you didn't come from an athletic background.
Yeah.
Family background, family background. But it's really like nice to see that young athletes, young girls can also make these decisions. Oh, this is what I love, and I'm gonna go after it no matter what. And that's what you've been doing, for so long now. Kudos to you on that, and good luck for all the accomplishments in the future. Olympics, we look forward to seeing you on there. Beyond biggest supporter.
Cheerleaders. Yeah. So I think I would want to know that what does her side mean to you? Like, so one of the reasons how we came up with the name Her Side is that we want to highlight and bring to light the like her side of the story. So like every athlete has like a different side of story. So like coming here on the podcast today and talking about your story. So like what does her side mean to you? Like when you listen to the name Her Side as well, like what does it mean to you, like personally, or like
I feel like as a woman athlete, I've tried to like conceal the hard parts of it, so that more people cannot see the vulnerable side of me. But I think her side would mean to me honesty, and to show people the struggle that I also go through, even though I'm a woman, especially because I am a woman.
Yeah.
The hard work it takes, the burnout, what you go through internally. Like you watched my reels where what I talk about, like the inner swing, like what goes on inside. That's a part of me that I would want to show people,
Yeah.
which all us women have been concealing for the longest time,
Yeah.
to show, to look stronger
Yeah.
in front of people, that whatever you're saying is not bothering me, but it does.
Yeah.
Right, it does catch up to you at some point. And yeah, so I think her side is about honesty for me. And also I want people to see the good part, the fun part, and the part that how fun it is to take the road less traveled.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, not just like the glorious moments and like not just that, because I feel like being a woman, we've always been
told as well, like, you hide like your pain, or like you don't have to talk about that because you're a woman in the society wanting to play a sport. Like, you're already considered and questioned so much. So like we often don't want to show our vulnerable side because like we're already being questioned so much.
Yeah.
Like इसके बाद क्या ही होगा, like पहले
लड़की
ही
है
कम
रोए जा
support
रही
है,
है.
हाँ पहले ही कम support है. So I'm sure like it must have happened, like, it must have happened with like most of like the women athletes, that at night you just like cry by yourself and like you're questioning yourself, like why you're doing this, what is the, yeah, exactly. And the thing is that we've never really spoken about it. Like, we don't talk about those moments, and we just feel like it makes us look weak or vulnerable. But I feel like it's high time that people understood that there is so much strength in just like, being there by yourself, and like, coming out of those zones, like, just like crying every night and still showing up the next day, and like, being where you are and achieving what you want to achieve. There's just like so much strength in it. And like, that people can, that we can just be open and honest about our conversations, and like,
Yeah.
talk about it, that we are also human. Like, we're not like super women. Like, we can do it all. We are not denying it, but like, we also cry. That is what makes us strong and makes us show up the next day. Yeah.
100%. Sports, like you fall down 100 times, you get up 101 times, and it's like that every other day. But you show up still, and it's character building. There's nothing like that. That's
Yeah.
why I genuinely like appreciate it when younger kids, participate in sports, especially parents. Like I have interact with a lot of parents who have, kids who question whether they should even do sports or not. And I always say, do sports, come what may, because that
Yeah.
is what builds character at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You show up at work, you show up in, whatever you job you land, it is through the character that you get.
The discipline that you
Yeah.
build,
Yeah.
the patience that you build,
It
it gives you
prepares you
great.
for, yeah, it prepares you for life. Like, literally, like, it prepares you for life. And I feel like that, I just hope that more parents understood that if you give a little girl's like sports, it makes her so much more independent, confident, and like just like, the holistic development that comes with sport, and the platform that it gives her to express herself. Like, I don't think if our parents wouldn't have like, supported us, that we would have just like been here today, like talking about it, or like, that it literally just like takes one person to like just put that hand on your back and be like, don't worry, like, I'm there for you, you do whatever you want to do, like pursue your goals. And it really is just like so empowering for like a very little girl. And I just hope like a lot of parents understood that how important part a role sport can play. And it's not about like just play sports to win an Olympic medal or like win a World Cup medal. It's also like it prepares you for life. It opens up so many more opportunities for you to
Yes.
opt from, or like the networking, the connection, like how the three of us have like, come together today, like, to talk about it's because of sport.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have happened otherwise. So yeah.
Would you have any message for the audience listening on here? Anything you'd like to say to them?
I feel like just believe in yourself, find your purpose, connect to it, and block out all the noises. I think that is the biggest thing from this podcast. That block everything else out and connect with your purpose and just stick to it.
Yeah.
So lovely having this conversation. I'm a little overwhelmed that it's happening, and but we look forward to your competitions in the future. As you had mentioned, you were injured. Hopefully, that comes around and you make it in this season. Is the season over yet?
It's over. Next season starts in Jan.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
not too far.
Not
Yeah.
too far.
So when are we seeing you compete? In which championship is that?
It's the calendar's not out yet, but I will surely tell you.
Okay, great. I think
Yeah. It was really lovely having you
It
today.
was-
Like, and like everything that you shared with us was very inspiring. And I hope there is a lot that people can take from it and learn from it as well. I'm sure they will be able to, because you've been a source of grit, discipline, and resilience on the field and with the sport. And I just hope a lot of people can just like, see that and pick up on that and really like carry that forward with them as well. So thank
Yeah.
you for coming today. It was very lovely having you.
Thank you so
And-
much for having me, and I'm really proud of you guys for this,
Thank you.
for starting this.
So happy to have you as part of the community.
Yeah.
And it's hopefully gonna be, community of thousands and 10,000s.
Women
Many,
empowering
many
women.
more.
Millions,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Millions, hopefully.
Yeah.
So if you like this conversation with Ria Jha, the National Golf Club, please follow along for more such stories. Drop a like, comment, and share with someone who would resonate with this story. Give Ria a follow and support for her journey as well. Her handle will be linked below. Apart from that, follow along for more interesting, honest, raw, unfiltered conversations around women in sports. Thank you for that, guys.
Thank. That's a wrap.